Hey everybody, Tekking101 here, hashtag I'm not a furry. Okay, so, really quick just to check, how long has it been since I made a video specifically about Carrot? I know I talk about her when I do the One Piece reviews, and I did that Mink video a few months back, but how long has it been since I just made a Carrot-centric video? Has it been more than 6 months or so? 7 months since the last time I made one? Okay, cool, we could talk about Carrot again. Okay, look, the build up to this video, alright? I am walking around my town a few days ago, and I'm just noticing that there are rabbits everywhere. Like, they're popping out of bushes, and they're crossing the street, and under people's cars, and they're hopping around in fields, and I'm just noticing, like, man, these rabbits are really, like, multiplying, like, well, like rabbits. Yeah, they're everywhere, you know? I took this picture of my neighbor's yard. There were just, like, 3 rabbits just casually hanging out there. And last night, I had a dream about rabbits. I had a dream where my entire yard was filled with rabbits. They were literally exploding out of the ground. I moved a bush out of the way. This little rabbit face just popped up and just pop! Rabbits everywhere! Now, the reason I had this dream, I came to 2 possible conclusions. Number 1, I just happened to see all those rabbits around my town, and so my brain just took that as a springboard and is like, okay, Matt, that's what you're dreaming about tonight. Or it could be my subconscious trying to tell me something that I have been rejecting for a very long time. But in either case, I think I'm just going to choose to ignore those hippity-hop thoughts and move on with the rest of my life. But, making a video about Carrot, what am I going to talk about? I already did a video where I discussed the 5 reasons why she's a perfect candidate to join the Straw Hats, which she totally is, and if you have a problem with that, we'll go right now, bro. But anyway, I also did a video about her Sulong transformation and the video about the Minks in general, and then I actually sat down and I thought, like, wait, whoa. Have I ever actually just made a video about Carrot's character? Like the same thing I did for the Straw Hats and the Supernovas? I've actually just sat down and looked at her history and her personality and her abilities and her relationships with the rest of the crew. I'm like, no, I haven't done that, and that made me kind of sad. So that's what we're here to do today. Now, granted, Carrot is a relatively new character. She's barely been in One Piece for the last 100 chapters. She was first introduced in chapter 804. We're just at chapter 909 right now, so, you know, barely squeaking by the 100 chapter point. But, has a lot of interesting stuff to go on here. And hey, keep this in mind. The Minks themselves have only been in the series for about as long, and they're already a very established race. I mean, it kind of, like, pieces it together that Oda has kind of introduced the Minks before that, like with Beppo and Peccoms and everybody. But, yeah, been in the series for less than 100 chapters, and a lot of people are really digging on the Minks. So, we have some stuff to go on here. Now, let's start with the beginning, her backstory. You thought I was going to show a picture of her butt there, didn't ya? Well, she's a rabbit mink, so she has a little bushy tail. And kind of a nice butt, too. But anyway, yeah. So, like all minks, she is from Zou, atop the giant elephant Zunisha, that has been wandering the seas for about 1,000 years. Well, actually, no. That's a misconception. The elephant is about 1,000 years old, but it hasn't been wandering the seas for 1,000 years. Okay, it didn't start wandering the seas as soon as it was born. That probably happened during the Void Century. So, at most, maybe 900 years. At least, maybe like 800 years, it's been wandering the oceans. So, the minks, of course, set up shop on top of Zunisha, and most minks are going to come from the country of Zou. Now, they're not kept there. I mean, they can leave if they want. You know, Beppo chose to leave to, you know, follow in his brother's footsteps. Peccoms opted to leave, and Pedro led the Nox expedition crew, later the Nox pirates. So, you know, it's possible that, like, the minks that are living in Totland could start a new family, and, you know, they could have a new line of minks somewhere else in the world. But when we're talking about minks, by and large, they originate from the country of Zou on top of Zunisha, and Carrot is no different. And, you know, she's a relatively young bunny mink. We do not know her exact age, but I'm going to put her age, you know, assuming that minks age the same way as humans do, relatively speaking, of course. I'll throw her age somewhere in her late teens, early 20s. She refers to Chopper as a big brother. Now, this could just be a term of endearment. It doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, Chopper is older than her, but Chopper is the youngest Straw Hat. He's only 17. So if you're going to, like, lowball it, I'm going to say Carrot is maybe 16 years old. Alright, at the absolute lowest, but I don't think that's the case. I think Carrot was just just, you know, term of endearment with Chopper, calling her, like, big brother, like, Cho bro or whatever. So, yeah, late teens, early 20s, something like that. Now, when growing up, most minks have the aptitude for electro. In fact, I think it was stated that all minks have the aptitude for that. Even when they're babies, they're able to manipulate the static electricity. I like to think it's the static electricity from their fur, and that's how they're able to generate the electro. And it's just because they lived their entire lives covered in this fur, they learn how to master and harness this static electricity. You know, you gotta give it, you know, creative license. It is anime after all, but I like to think that's where the electrical power comes from, you know, and they can summon it up whenever they want. Like, they have some ability to innately store all of that static energy that builds up from them just walking around, and they can use it at will, and they can channel it into certain body parts and weapons, and they just learn how to use this natural ability at a very young age. Now, with this being the case, with all minks being formidable fighting forces, no matter how young or how old they are, they can also join certain regiments. In Nekomamushi's group, it's the Guardians, and in Inurashi's group, it's the Musketeers, to learn how to actually fight. You know, here's a weapon, here's how to use it, certain martial arts, things like that. And the cool thing about the minks is they're anthropomorphic. You know, they're like 2 arms, 2 legs, they have a human appearance, but they're also based on a certain animal. So depending on the animal they're based on, they're going to have a heightened physical stat, or like a special skill. So because Carrot is a bunny mink, she inherently just knows Geppo pretty much. Like, she can just do that, like that step in the middle of the air, like she did to dodge Zoro's blade at Zo. In fact, I read this funny comment the other day that said, you know, Carrot is kind of the one person that kind of gave Zoro the most trouble post-time skip, and obviously that's going a little bit overboard. I'd like to think Pika gave him a little bit more trouble, but, you know, she's definitely in the top 3. If we're gonna go into, like, you know, characters that have given Zoro a little bit of trouble, you know, Pika would definitely be on there, but who else? I mean, Monet gave Zoro literally no trouble whatsoever. Hyozo gave him no trouble whatsoever. So, basically, post-time skip, we got Fujitora, Pika, and Carrot. So, there you go. Okay, but anyway, yeah, so they have special skills, like BB, Blackback, he's a gorilla mink, so on top of, you know, having his electro, he's also, like, super buff. Rhodey, Bull Mink, he's got the horns he can, like, impale people with, so that's pretty cool. You got the bonus traits as minks, right? So Carrot is officially a member of Inurashi's Musketeer Squad. However, she's also a ruler's aide, which means that she's not subjected to the limits of both kings. You know, Nekomamushi is the ruler of night, Inurashi is the ruler of the day, and neither the twain shall meet. And this even extends to their subjects, so all the members of Inurashi's Musketeers, as soon as it turns 6 p.m. and it begins to, you know, the dusk sets in, it begins to nightfall, they instantly feel drowsy and they need to go to sleep. It's not even like, oh man, I feel tired, I need to go rest. No, it's like literally at 6 p.m. exactly, they pretty much, like, just kind of collapse where they are, or they have to, like, oh shit, we need to go, oh man, we're tired, you know, so it's like that ingrained in them at this point. However, even though Carrot and Wanda are officially members of the Musketeer Squad under Inurashi, they're ruler's aides, so they don't really are subjected to that. They can, you know, go back and forth as a messenger, as a go-between between Nekomamushi and Inurashi if necessary. So in terms of the weapon department, because Sicilian is the leader of the Musketeers, he was the one that was responsible for training Carrot. However, Sicilian's his main weapon is a sword, and Carrot really didn't seem to be all that adept at using a sword. That was Wanda's thing and Pedro's things, not really so much Carrot. However, Pedro took her under his wing and gave her those rabbit gauntlets that she has, those giant elaborate rabbit paws with extendable claws, her Ella claws. So, just imagine, okay, has anyone ever been tasered here before? Like, or stun gunned, or anything like that? I never have been, but I've read up on the effects of it, and they don't sound that great. Essentially, with a taser gun, you got these 2 darts, you know, these darts, you know, spikes that, you know, dig into your flesh, connect the circuit, and then they shoot electricity through your body. And, your muscles, when you get electrocuted, they basically turn into wet noodles, and you collapse where you're at. So, same basic principle with Carrot's Ella Claws. You know, those things are retractable. They come out. She's channeling a lot of freaking volts and amps through those, actually. I would like to know the exact specs on how much energy you can output with Electro. But, she stabs you with those things. You're going down, alright? You're not getting back up after that. You've just been stun-gunned. And so this began a sort of relationship between Carrot and Pedro. Even though Pedro is a member of the Guardians, not a member of the Musketeers, they still got along like a master-student relationship. And even so, whenever Carrot goes into battle as a member of the Musketeers, she wears a green cape, which is indicative of the Guardians. It seems blue is the main color of the Musketeers and green is the main color of the Guardians. So she wears that as homage to her teacher. Now, like a lot of Minks on Zou, this isn't something specific to Carrot. They kind of want to see the world because they're stuck their entire life on the back of an elephant. Now, like I said, they're not, kept there. They can leave if they want, but just imagine this. You grow up your entire life in one secluded area, and it's safe, and you don't have to worry about, other people invading you. Usually. Every now and then you get a jack, but, not usually. And you see this all you can see on the horizon is just a big, wide ocean on all sides. So, it's kind of like going from 0 to 80. You don't really have time to acclimate here. It's like, you can go out and see the world if you want, but we're already in the new world, girl. You're not going to ease yourself into it. Like, oh, maybe we'll stop by this island and just get used to it. No, it's like, you get on a ship and journey out into the seas, but absolute danger and possibly death awaits you within probably an hour of leaving, okay? If you don't have proper navigation skills, if you don't have a good ship, you get caught in one of those New World storms, you're dead, pretty much. And so that's the situation with a lot of Minks, I would imagine, where they want to go out and see the world, but it's like, yeah, but we're safe here on Zunisha, and we have been for 800 years or so we're gonna stay here. So that's Carrot's dream, is to just journey around and see the world. And so this is something that gets brought up a lot, and it's something I mentioned in that top 5 reasons why Carrot should become a member of the crew. People ask, well, all the Straw Hats have a dream they want to follow. What's Carrot's dream gonna be, huh? And maybe it's just because we were just introduced to her like 100 chapters ago. She could always elaborate on this, but just the fact that she wants to go out and see the world, I think that's fair enough. I mean, not all of the dreams. Yeah, you're right. All the Straw Hats do have a dream. They are a crew of dreamers. That's kind of the gist that Oda's going with here. But they don't all have to be extremely complicated dreams, or they don't all have to be like, I need to do X and I have achieved my dream, or I need to find X and achieve my dream. Like, Sanji's dream is to find the All Blue. As soon as he physically finds it, as in, holy shit, there's the All Blue right in front of my eyes, his dream is achieved. However, you have people like Usopp, whose dream is just to become a brave warrior of the sea. That's not something objective, like, that you could just achieve overnight. That's something that's kind of, like, ambiguous, and you kind of have to come to terms with that yourself. Like, whenever maybe Usopp defeats a really strong opponent, he will declare himself, you know what, I have achieved my dream, or something like that. Or maybe if Usopp ever, well, I can't wait till the Straw Hats go to Elbaf, but we just got to Wano, so, hold off on that for a little while. But maybe if Usopp, when he's on at Elbaf, and he does something really heroic, and like the warriors of Elbaf, the giants, declare him a great warrior, that might be something where he's like, yep, I am achieved my dream. Something along those lines. Just the fact that Carrot wants to go out and see the world and explore a place that she's never been but always been curious about, I think that's fair game. It's rather ambiguous, sure, but, hey, not all Minks have really done that, so I, commend her for that. And if you want to add even more to it, after the whole incident with Pedro at Totland and his sacrifice, that's another dream. Because Pedro's whole thing, and the thing with a lot of the other Minks, was we are the protectors, we are the guardians that we're going to, usher in the dawn. That's something the Minks always talk about, is the dawn. The dawn of the world, that Inuarashi and Nekomamushi have to be there for that. We have to witness that. That's like our one thing that we're here on this earth to complete. And that was Pedro's thing, and then he died and passed that will onward to Carrot. And he made a point to even bring this up to her, like, not long before he sacrificed himself, as if I am bequeathing this goal onto you. You are the younger Mink generation. It is your responsibility now to see this through to the end, because I failed short. I died in my 30s because the whole thing with Big Mom, I could not carry this out, so you have to. You are my student. So, if you need a little bit more of a powerful dream, something with a little bit more meaning behind it, there you go. Carrot's got a dream. Slam dunk. Alright, but that's just her backstory living on Zoe. Okay, so after many peaceful years, just hanging out, Jack attacks, and it's an invasion, and this is something they're not used to, but they're trained for it. They got an army. They actually have two. They have the attack capabilities, they have electro, they have weapons, they've been training their whole lives for this. They're not a bunch of wimps, okay? So they go right into it, and along with the assistance of the other side of, like Inuarashi fights during the day, and then they switch out to rest, and the Nekomamushi fights during the night, they basically fight at a standstill against the freaking beast pirates, against the gifters, and against the pleasures. Now, Jack himself can only be held at bay by either Inuarashi or Nekomamushi. They have to fight Jack directly, okay? But in terms of, the beast pirates, those are still members of a Yonko. That's their crew. They're not pushovers. People like Wanda and Carrot were fighting against those guys for days on end, and they were pretty good at it, okay? So, yeah, that's something else. Because ever since the time skip, because the Straw Hats powered up so much, you have to say, well, the next crew members have to be strong. I'm like, hey, strong enough to hold back a Yonko crew for days on end? Yeah, I think that's pretty strong. You're pretty good there. Managed to throw Zoro for a loop. Yeah, okay, that's strong enough, in my opinion anyway. Like I said, just because you don't have to be as strong as, Jinbei or Zoro to join the crew. Nami's really not all that strong. I mean, yeah, she has strength, but sort of glass cannon-y. Carrot, I think, is on that level, if not a little higher. So, yeah, Carrot is definitely stronger than Nami, if you really think about it, just in terms of athletic ability and the fact she can take a little bit more hits than Nami can. So, yeah, right away there. But this is turning into the moment where, Carrot's definitely going to join the crew. Just deal with it, okay? I'll try to avoid that from now on, because I did make a whole video about that. I apologize. But anyway, yeah. So, fighting against Jack for days on end, eventually Jack just says, "Book it," and just releases the gas weapon, the Kuro gas, or the kill gas that Caesar developed. Luckily for him, Caesar was a little bit more on the sadistic side, and didn't really make a weapon that was, effectual, like a gas weapon that'll actually kill you within minutes, more like hours or days, really. I'm gonna release this gas weapon. Pfft. Now you'll be dead in... Hold on a second. Let me look at the instructions. 48 to 72 hours. Damn it, Caesar! Okay, fine. And eventually Jack has to leave, because the whole Doflamingo thing occurred, and left his crew there to just kind of deal with the poisoned minks. Eventually, the twirly-eyed pirates arrive, Sanji, Nami, Brook, and Chopper, and then they help defeat the remaining members of Kaido's crew. Caesar whips up the Roku, or the Six, or the cure to the kill gas, the opposite of that, and manages to cure the minks, and everything seems to be copacetic. Eventually, the other Straw Hats arrive. Carrot has that little scuffle with Zoro because they're not really sure if they were enemies at first. After everything gets sorted out and we figure out who they are, I'm like, oh, okay, everyone's happy, everyone's good. Thanks to the Straw Hats for saving us. And then we eventually get down to the nitty-gritty. We find out about the road poneglyphs and everything like that, about the Kozuki clan and Raizo and all that shit, and then we eventually get to the point where we're like, okay, we have to split up into different sections, alright? One team goes to Wano, one team goes on the Great Pineapple Hunt, and the other team goes to Tauntland to try to rescue Sanji. And Carrot was originally not supposed to be part of that team. Remember, Carrot was a stowaway. So, once again, following her dreams, she was like, you know what, I'm gonna go and just kind of stow away on the ship because I want to see the world. And so she does that. And Pedro was going too, so that probably kind of helped her out a little bit. She was like, maybe she might not have went if it was just her by herself. But since Pedro was already going, maybe she's like, well, that's my master, and if there's ever a time for me to leave, it would be now. And so she jumps aboard the Thousand Sunny, and they set off, and they can't really turn back at this point. So, hey, they're on the journey forward. And hey, she's going to be there all Wano. Okay, I started to sit down and think, like, well, even if she isn't going to join the crew, she's going to be she's going to be there for a while. I mean, what are they going to do? Like, backtrack to Zou? And then I started to think, like, okay, well, they're going to be at Wano for a while. Wano's going to be a very long arc. Nekomamushi is also heading to Wano, as we found out in the last chapter after he met Marco. They're heading to Wano after this. So I guess it's possible that after Wano Kuni is wrapped up, after, Nekomamushi and the rest of the Guardians, they're going to be there at that point. They could give Carrot an ultimatum. They could say, hey, you can return to Zou with us, or you can continue journeying with them. And I think that's the most likely way, where we're either, hey, just the one more thing I'm going to mention it, because this is very likely how it's going to play it out in the series. I could totally see Oda doing this. At that point, that's going to be our Vivi moment. That's going to be the moment where it's like she chooses to become a Straw Hat, because, or she chooses to return to her homeland. But that's probably not going to be till the end of Wano, which is going to be, a little bit far off there. So, they journey to Totland, and they have their confrontations with the Big Mom pirates, most notably Brûlé. Carrot spends most of the arc stuck in the mirror world with Chopper, and that's how they kind of build their relationship. Out of all of the members on the Straw Hat crew so far, Carrot obviously has the largest connection with Chopper. Chopper's not a mink, but he's an animal that is basically human because of the devil fruit, so not a mink, but close to it, so they kind of get along a lot. That's their dynamic. She calls him Chobro, or Big Brother Chopper, or, those kind of things. So that's a cute kind of thing they have there. And also cool for Chopper's character, because Chopper, being the youngest on the crew, he doesn't really have a moment where he seems like, like everyone else is kind of older than me, so I'm kind of the junior. But now in this instance, he's the senior. So he doesn't let it go to his head or anything, but this is a cool moment for Chopper, where he's like, man, yeah, someone's looking up to me. Someone's looking to me for plans. Like, that whole time they were in the mirror world running around, Chopper was the one coming up with the plans and everything, and he was, like, really kind of developed into a leadership position there. So maybe having Carrot around also helps out Chopper's confidence a little bit, right? Okay, so they have the little scuffle in the mirror world with Brûlé. They managed to give her the slip. They managed to, tie her up, and that starts a long trend in Totland, where Brûlé is basically just the whipping girl of the Straw Hats, where they just use her as transport essentially. After this, we move on to the Tea Party section of the arc, and admittedly Carrot doesn't really have the spotlight here, because a lot of stuff is going on with Big Mom and her flashback. You have the Germa, you have Sanji and Pudding, you have the assassination plot, so Carrot is part of all that. She's there, she's just kind of in the background. Also, sexy bath scene with Nami, because of course, there has to be one. So, wait, hold on, guys, let me just check something really quick. Are you considered a furry if you don't actually, want to dress up like a rabbit, but you have sexual feelings toward a rabbit-human hybrid? I think a lot of you are like, yes, Matt, yes, you are still, Matt, it's written right here! There are rules for this, the official furry handbook, everybody is given one. Except, I guess I lost my copy somewhere, but, it's like, yes. I'm like, okay, fine. Hashtag maybe a furry, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know at this point, man. But, yeah, she's there in Totland, helping out, protecting the Germa at the tea party. Okay, so she has her moment. I like her little hat that she wears, that's cute. Okay. But of course, the shining moment, well, kind of two of them. One of them was the aforementioned sacrifice of Pedro. That was, of course, more of a moment for Pedro's character, but it helped out Carrot as well, because, while Pedro was the one that suicide-bombed himself to try to kill Perospero and get them away, like I said, he was passing his will onto Carrot, and Carrot had to sit there and watch her master blow himself up to save her life. So, tragic backstory time! Da-da-da-da! You know, it's not every time we get to see the tragic backstory actually play out real time in the One Piece story. It's usually like, we don't know about it, like, Robin joins the crew and we don't know anything about her backstory really for a few hundred chapters, and then we get to Enies Lobby and we find out about her mom and O'Hara, and it's like, holy crap, that was dark. Now we get it, like, as it's happening. In fact, this would be funny if later on in Wano, you have a moment where Carrot is walking around with Zoro and Usopp and Frankie, characters that she doesn't really have that much time with because she only met just on Zo for a little while. Well, you know, yeah, just a little while. They know each other, but not that much. And then, you know, she retells her tragic backstory that we were already there for back on Totland, and we have a flashback to Pedro. It's like, my master killed himself to save me. I have to carry on his will. It's just, we're sitting like Zoro and everybody's like, wow, that's dark. But meanwhile, we're sitting there reading it like, yeah, I know what happened. We were there. But yeah, that was obviously more of a moment for Pedro, but for Carrot as well. And then the second big moment that occurs is during the chase, trying to get out of Totland. And you know what? I gotta hand it to Oda. Every single member aboard the Thousand Sunny got a chance to shine during this final part of the arc when they were all escaping. Oda was basically telling us, you know, each and every single one of the characters on the Thousand Sunny, Straw Hat or no, they're going to have to pull out all the stops, everything that they can do. It's sort of like Oda wanted them all to use their max power to kind of get an idea of just how hard it's going to be to get out of Totland. Okay? It's like if you're playing a Final Fantasy game and you're up against a really strong boss and you gotta use like all three of your characters' limit breaks at one, you know, like that kind of fight you get into it and it's like, okay, I'm only gonna have a chance if we get all ready to go and we use our all three limit breaks at once. That's like our best shot at winning this. And that's kind of what Oda's doing. So Pedro, yeah, he had his trump card, pulls out the freaking dynamite or whatever the hell. It was a pretty big explosion what did it, but he's like, I'm out of here, bam, and then that wasn't good enough. And then Nami has to break out her climb attack and, you know, utilizing Zeus and everything and an ultimate thunderbolt. Brook was doing his aeronaut slash shit, cutting up Zeus and everything in the sky. Jinbei was using his vagabond drill, probably his strongest technique, against Big Mom directly. He was using his helmsman skills to steer out of the giant wave. Chopper went monster point against Prometheus, which that was kind of a suicide attack right there. But hey, he tried. He freaking tried. That's his strongest form. It's all he's got. Chopper's really not much of a long-range kind of specialist, but he went into his strongest form because it's all he freaking got at that point. He went guard point as well to block a blow from Big Mom. Luffy obviously fighting against Katakuri, maximum power, Gear 4 Snake Man the entire time. Sanji struggling for survival. You know, he's doing Diablo Jambe, you know, Skywalk shit, all of his greatest moves there on display. Yeah, so, yeah, the Straw Hats there, they all had to pull out the stops, max power to do it, and Carrot is no exception, utilizing and introducing, in turn, the Sulong transformation, the Moon Lion form that all Minks had. And, this was something people thought about for years. You know, year, I guess, would be better, leading up to this, that the Minks might have some sort of, like, werewolf kind of transformation, and, it was revealed with Carrot, it was confirmed. I'm like, yeah. So, the Sulong transformation, all Minks are capable of doing this. It's just that you need proper training in order to control it properly. Peckoms wasn't really good at it, but Carrot was, because she was trained by Pedro. So, just upon staring at the moon for just a little while, it has to be a full moon and unobstructed, so full moon, no clouds, look at the moon for just a few seconds, and that triggers a transformation to turn from regular Carrot to sexy electrical goddess Super Saiyan Carrot. Oh my god, she's awesome! By the way, here's some fan art I found of Carrot as Sailor Moon. Had really no place to put this in the actual video, so I just decided to throw it in when we're talking about Sulong. Ha-ha! But yeah, Sulong transformation Carrot pretty much does everything you'd figure. She grows, you know, taller, she becomes more of an adult, boobs get bigger, butt gets bigger, you know, the typical anime transformations when they involve a girl. You know, when they involve a girl, she's gonna get sexier. If they involve a guy, the muscles are going to get to an incredible proportions. It's just the law of anime, just deal with it. Okay, so Sulong transformation. The Electro at this point is like, I like to think it's like augmenting Electro, but it's also releasing all the stored Electro. Her tail, her hair, her ears, like her entire body, it's kind of like Super Saiyan 2. It's just like that bioelectricity is just radiating off her. I imagine you couldn't even get close to Carrot in this stance. Like, just imagine her not even doing all the flips and kicks and everything. Just hand-to-hand combat, Carrot in Sulong form. You know, every single blow is going to have, like, electrical, feedback to it. Even getting close to her is probably going to get you to, going to be standing close to like a power transformer or something, like your hair starts standing on end and it just messes with you. Now, of course, the downside of this is she can only do it at night and whenever the moon is out, which you might think that's kind of a detriment because it's only once a month in our world that we get a full moon. In fact, there was just a really cool like super moon the other day. But in the One Piece world, it might be a little different because there's actually 7 moons. Now, here's the thing though. Oda has shown us this globe with the 7 moons, but he's never really focused a lot on it. He's never really used the moon all that much. Like obviously for like Eneru's cover story, we've seen it, but Oda has never made a point to mention, like we've never seen a moment where there's like 4 moons in the sky at once. Like Oda's never taken time to show us that. But given what Oda has already previously set up, he could always just go back into his notes and say like, oh yeah, that's right. The One Piece world has like 7 moons. So Carrot transforming into the Sulong might not be as limiting as you might think. It still has to be at night in order for her to use it, but it might not be just once a month. It could be multiple times a month. It could be, because there's more than one moon. That's the situation. Oda could totally do that, because if that was the case, then we would barely ever see Sulong form. And we're definitely going to see Kariko Sulong. Even if she's not going to be part of the crew, we gotta see Sulong and Wano, at least at some point. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's gotta be the situation there. While she's in this form, on top of the electricity, emitting from her, the increased electro, her natural bunny jump ability, her Geppo, increases, so to the point where she can glide great distances. She's on top of the Thousand Sunnies, she jumps off and just kind of glides on the surface of the water, a fair distance away to Daifuku's fleet and just wrecks that shit up, dancing around, doing all these really cool ballerina moves, ripping off all their rudders so they can't steer, tearing apart the sails and the masts and everything, dodging Daifuku's genie as he's wrecking everything. So, very elegant, something, of course, that focuses a lot more on evasion and speed rather than raw power. It does have that. Like, I think if, Carrot's in Sulong, she charges up all that Electro in one fist. If she could do that, if she could take all that excess Electro and make, like Bunny Goddess True Fist or something like that, and then attacks an opponent right where it would do significant damage. I'm just saying, overall, the Sulong form, in Carrot's case, being a bunny mink, means more speed, more invasion, increase, gliding, the Geppo abilities that she had. Whereas, like, if Peckom's being a lion mink, if he actually mastered it, is Sulong form, it would be much more strength-based, I would assume, in Peckom's case. By the way, what happened to Peckom's? Because last time we saw him, he was being held down by the members of the Charlotte family, about to get his eyes gouged out. I'm pretty sure that didn't happen, but I'm worried about the guy. You know what I mean? Like, even if he survived, he's going to be thrown in a jail cell for the rest of his life, if not executed in Totland, so yeah, that's kind of worrisome. So yeah, Sulong transformation Carrot. Obviously pretty awesome, powerful, and really sexy. Which actually brings us to the most important part of any discussion video, when involving women characters in One Piece anyway. This is going to be a section, about Carrot's bra size. Okay, now look, I know there's a little bit of inconsistencies here, but don't worry, even if it takes us all night, we are gonna figure this out, okay? Now, this is a picture of Carrot when she was first introduced, and as you can see, her design, just in general, is a little bit more basic than now. I think Oda, made her a little bit more cuter as it progressed, but this is when she was first introduced, and, she has boobs, but nothing all that elaborate. Now, there was that scene, that filler arc, when the Straw Hats went to that Marine base, and she had to, disguise herself in the Marine outfit, and, Yeah, that she's definitely, that was her first queue up. Oh yeah, she's definitely, she's a well-endowed rabbit. She's got stuff going on there. But then of course there's the scenes where she's in the bath with Nami and then wearing the outfit at the tea party, and of course the Sulong form seems to add a few inches. So you know, if we're going by American sizes here, I'm gonna say a solid double D, but it could be larger than that. I hope you appreciate it, but leave your comments below. I want to make sure to get other opinion on this, and we will come to a consensus here if it kills us, okay? Yeah. And by the way, if you're new to the channel and you're just watching me and you're seriously wondering why I'm devoting so much time to boobs, go watch this video. But anyway, yeah, that's that scene there. Okay, so after her Sulong transformation, Carrot pretty much was out the rest of the arc. Sulong greatly drains her abilities, basically just knocks her out after she's done with it. She needs to rest. Disengaging Sulong is not that hard. She just has to cover her eyes with her hat, or just, you know, just so she doesn't see the moon, basically. But afterwards, she was conked out for a little while, so this is, you know, Carrot is pretty strong just on her own, so don't think that, like, Sulong is, like, the only thing that makes her worth a shit, because that's not the case. Chopper, obviously, in his monster point, that's when he's at his strongest, but his heavy point, that's pretty, you know, good, too. That's nothing to just sneeze at, you know? Same thing with Carrot. So, it's gonna be treated kind of like that. It's probably gonna be treated similar to, Chopper's monster point, where only use it whenever you're in a serious fight, because the drawbacks of it are pretty severe. In Chopper's case, he only has it for a few minutes, and after he disengages it, he can't really move all that well. And then in Carrot's case, she can only use Sulong for a few minutes. After that's over, although it does seem to be a little longer than Chopper, but not that much longer. I would say maybe 10 minutes max, and that's it. But after that, she doesn't die or pass out or anything like that, but she does get, like, her stamina's all drained, and she needs to, like, I need to lie down for a little while. And it seems like she's in that state for at least a few hours until she regains consciousness, and then it seems like she's fine again. Now, if she can use Sulong, like, right after that, like, Sulong for 10 minutes, and then rest for, like, 2 hours, and then get back up and then use it again, she doesn't really explain the rules to this or anything, so I'm not really sure. It's possible that she could, don't know, but, yeah, okay. But, overall, Carrot's personality is a very fun-loving bunny girl. She's, you know, she has the certain habits that all minks have, because they're a little bit more of their animalistic tendencies. Like, for instance, don't steal her food, because she'll bite you, like, you know, like I'm a crazy rabbit, you know, or whatever. But if you pat her on the head, she'll be okay. So there's things like that with her personality. That's just because she's a mink. But she seems to get along with all the crew members there. And on top of that, she also has a fierce loyalty to her country and to her master. You know, I will admit right now, in terms of, like, the personality department in general, she's not as developed as the other characters, but that would make sense given the fact that we, you know, had just, you know, introduced to her recently, right? So, you know, I think, though, give her some time. Give her some time. We'll figure out a few little bit more quirks about her. We already kind of have one. She's an artiste. She has the cool artistic skills, so that's one of those quirky skills that just Oda gives his characters. You know, it seems like it really is kind of setting it up like she might be around for a while, so, you know, get ready for that. But just wanted to make a Carrot video in general about her character and everything like that, so hope you guys enjoyed. Comment below about her breast size. Don't worry, I know a lot of you are curious, but we have experts. We have experts. Yeah. Alright, so thanks for watching, everybody. Hashtag I'm not a maybe kind of... hashtag I don't know. Have a good night, everyone. Tekking101 signing out.